Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Alston, and it is my pleasure to bring you quality programs to all of you. I am excited, yes, again, for the 60th time to bring you another amazing speaker. So be sure to visit and listen to all the podcasts, including this one that is posted on the website this year. We have such amazing good speakers all throughout the country who is here to share their information, their story with you. So please take advantage of this unique opportunity. You can't get it anywhere else. Just in case you did not know, the purpose of the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast is not only just to network our small businesses, but we're here to share information and provide needed sources for working professionals and career seekers. So please make sure you take plenty of notes and call out to anyone on this podcast if you have a question. We would also like to take a moment to thank our corporate partners and sponsors, which are a family of authors, Butler Armstead Consulting Solutions, Human Resource Learning Center, J&F Enterprises, and Women Offering Wealth, along with many of our business partners and sponsors who's helping to make this event a success. So today we have a very interesting topic, which is going to really enlighten you and educate you on diabetes. And we know that diabetes is one of the things that is in our Black community. It affects each and every one of us in some kind of way. And so I brought a young man here who's going to be on the podcast, who is from Meyer's Pharmacy Consultants. His name is Russell Myers, and he is the president and CEO at Meyer's Pharmacy Consultants, located in Florida. He is a visionary that brings a non-conventional pharmacy ideal to our community. And with Meyer's Pharmacy Consultants, it was born from the need of patients' trust to understand what medication is really doing to their body and how it will actually help them. And as a CEO, he demonstrates a history of working in the hospital, working for healthcare industries, and have a strong business development skill in pharmaceuticals, coaching, retail, diabetes education, and sales management. And additionally, he is a graduate of Florida AMM University class of 1993, and he was licensed in the same year. So I would like to bring to the podcast Russell Myers. Russell, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So tell us all about you, where you're from, and how did you get into pharmaceuticals?
Well, I was raised in Baltimore, Maryland, and came down to Florida to live with my grandmother. My mom and dad graduated from FAMU. FAMU was my only choice, really, and pharmacy was the one that I wanted to pursue. Well, actually, goes back to, I guess you want to say, 1985. I was really interested in doing something to help people, help our community, because our community seems like it wasn't getting enough information and acted on the information about medicine or what have you, finances. I was pretty good in chemistry, so I decided to apply to pharmacy school at Florida A&M. And during that time, that's when I really developed a love for pharmacy. My talent happened to excel with the educational part, delivering it to patients, and here we are.
Okay, was there some event or something that you saw when you were younger that brought you to pharmacy in general? I'm pretty sure that, a lot of us when we're younger, all we think about is like playing games and things like that. Was there anything in particular that just kind of brought your attention about pharmacy?
Well, no, I was just really nerdy. I really like chemistry, and I like mixing things, I guess, as a kid. Playing in the yard, I used to mix mud and grass and call it something, and that's what started me into it. I found out that I'm really good in chemistry and went from there.
Okay. And so when you got in chemistry, what was it that you really loved about chemistry outside of just mixing things? I mean, was there just something with just the formulas or and I'm reason why I'm asking you this question because there's some kids that I met along my way that talked about being, chemist or some type of science major. And so I kind of want to speak to those people who are interested so that they can hear your passion about chemistry.
Okay. Okay, well, basically, I wanted to know why things stuck together. I wanted to know why the grass was green. I wanted to know how can water take so many different shapes and still be the same, from steamed ice to just the liquid. That's what interests me in it. And then from there, it was just being able to see how the drugs were made, the chemical structures of the drug, and how the body use the structures to do what it needed to do to help its ailment, whether it's pain or anything.
Okay. And so while you were at A&M University in Florida, were there a lot of minority kids that were taking your type of course in terms of chemistry and some of the things that you were interested in?
Well, my class was probably freshman class was probably about 80, and of that 80, only 40 graduated. So it's a weeding out process. I'm going through the chemistry and biosciences, but yes, there was quite a few. And Florida A&M is predominantly black university, HBCU. It's not many of other minorities in there. It's just all black, pretty much.
Okay. And so once you finished your university studies, where did you go from there?
I started working in St. Pete General Hospital. I was there for about 6 years, dealing with the patients and actually applying what I've learned in school to the patients in the hospital, and seeing how it helped them go from not being functional to being discharged was really exciting. But I also had a yearning or a desire to really be in face to face with patients that were actually mobile or actually moving in and out, being able to function and ask questions. On the hospital, it gave me the, I guess, the doctor aspect, the reaction, the interactions more with the physicians. But being a people person, you like to talk to the patients and see how they're doing, learn a little bit about them, learn what makes them tick in general. And once you know a little bit about the patient, you would help them improve their life, because what I've done, what I've always do, is get that personal relationship. And from there, retail pharmacy, Walgreens was also part of the picture, and that's where I got that desire, the yearning more to talk to patients one on one, show them how to use the inhaler and why they have to take this particular steroid with food, and don't take it too late at night. From there, that's how I kept going.
Okay. And so during your experience working in that environment, is this where you sort of encountering people more with diabetes, that this happened to be one of those things that was just more and more prominent and kind of led you to go into that realm?
Well, no, actually, my grandmother, she had diabetes, and she was suffering. And I didn't, as a kid, I didn't really understand what she meant, because she said, "Baby, it's my sugar, my sugar. I can't have this." But Grammy wants you to have this piece of pie. I would eat it. But as I got older and I saw her move a lot slower, and she had to take her time to do things that when we were younger we did a lot more. I mean, we did freely. It concerned me, and then upon graduating from pharmacy school, that's when I was able to say, okay, now I know what grandma has. I know what she was suffering with. And from there, I said I would try to help her or others in my family that may have it. So
Okay.
that's what happened.
Okay, well, let's just break it down. So let's tell everybody who's listening, what is diabetes? Everybody knows in general what diabetes is when they say, "Oh, it's my sugar," and all that. But if you can just break down exactly what diabetes really is and how it actually affects you on a cellular level, if you can talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, first of all, diabetes is the inability of the body to process sugar, and sugar meaning blood glucose, the fuel that you have, that the energy that you need, you get it from your diet, whether it's the vegetables, the fruits, breads, or starches. You get energy from that. Now, your pancreas produces a product called insulin. And what insulin does, it takes the broken down energy, glucose, and applies it to the muscles, applies it to the brain, applies it to the kidneys, applies it to every organ that we have. We can function our daily lives. When you do not have enough or too much of glucose running around in the blood and not enough insulin taking it out, it tends to build up. And when it builds up, it manifests itself several different ways. One way is by excess hunger, sweating, excess urination, thirst, and just being tired all the time. That's one of the most common ways that it manifests itself.
Okay. And so when they are going through all of these symptoms, I know that from people in my family who have diabetes didn't even realize that these were symptoms of becoming diabetic because we don't really necessarily recognize that, right?
That is correct. Because most everybody has a big meal around Thanksgiving. And at that time, everybody call it itis. Where you eat,
Yeah,
you
the
get really
itis.
full, so you
That's
got
right.
itis,
That's right.
and you like, oh man, well, I just had a big meal. Okay, yeah,
Mhm,
chances are it can be where you had a real big meal,
mhm,
but if you eat a small meal or a
mhm,
normal size meal, a
mhm.
sandwich and fruit, some people tend to get just as tired, or they're extremely thirsty. They just had a sandwich, and usually a glass of water will suffice. But most of the time, people are like, man, I just drank 8 ounces of water. I just drank that liter bottle, or I just drank that 5 ml bottle of water, and I'm still thirsty. I can't understand why I'm always thirsty. That's all the major signs that people will overlook because you just think, oh, I'm busy or busy. I'm just don't have time. I'm just drinking because I need it, and not really thinking that it could be something else.
Right. I want to add also to the list that I know personally is that very dry skin is another indication. Your hair might change textures. That also happens because your body is losing moisture, is losing all that hydration. So your skin and your hair tends to be affected. Also your eyesight, your teeth, your toenails, other little things like that that is outside the norm of your regular body functions, you need to definitely go to the doctor and be tested just to make sure that you're not pre-diabetic or have already been in full-blown diabetes. And those are some of the
Right.
key indicators. You could put lotion on all day and it'll just feel like your body is just not getting that moisture.
Right, right. That is also a very important indicator, and it also can indicate other conditions as well. That's why, like you said, it's very important to talk to the doctor about that. Um, Urination will also be another factor. If it has a fruity smell, if you're going, but and it's not plentiful, then that also could be another factor too, because your kidneys could not be producing enough of the urine, even though you are taking in the water or drinks.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so all of those things, if everybody's listening to this podcast, all of those things are clear indications. If it's something that's happening with your body that is different from what you normally have, it is always a good idea that on your next doctor visit to have them test you for any type of blood disease or just check you to see if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic because you just never know how your body we always going around we love to eat junk food, we love to have sodas, we love to have all these things that we love to eat, but after a while as your body get older you do tend to change. And if you've never had diabetes before, or even if you didn't have family members who were diabetic, it does not mean that you cannot become diabetic. It's really just boils down to the food. So, Russell, let me ask you a question. So, now that we kind of talked a little bit about diabetes and some of the effects, I know that there are certain medications out there, and you work for a pharmaceutical company. What have you found in terms of medication that you would like to educate people on?
Well, the most important thing is to take your medicine.
Yeah, we
That's the most
just do
important
that.
thing. Some people, Some people will get it and like, did I take it? Or no, I didn't take it. Or they'll take a half a dose or don't take it as directed. The most important thing is to take the medication as prescribed. If you don't take it as prescribed, you don't give it the opportunity to do what it needs to do. In diabetes, mainly, you can be on just one or up to many of medications on it, but to help prevent it or help manage it. So I think the most important thing is first thing is getting it and taking it as prescribed. If it's once a day, try to take it every 12 hours. If it's 3 times a day, try to take it every 8 hours. That's based on a 24-hour timetable. Now, everybody is not up 24 hours a day, and they're not going to really set their alarm clock to get up. Some people will, some people won't. But those who don't, you want to get at least 2 doses if you're taking it 3 times a day, every 8 hours apart, and then 6 hours for that last dose, and you should be fine.
Right. And that's really for people who have type 2 diabetes, correct?
Yes, type 2 is you're going to be on more of the oral
Hmm.
medication, and
Yep.
type 1 you're on the insulin. Again, the most important thing is listen to your body. Actually, if you have questions, you go to your doctor or pharmacist. Food is going to be the thing to help control it, and also getting out and exercising. I've developed a program where we walk and talk. It's a leisurely walk around the park around here that we do, and we talk about whatever may be a topic for the audience. At the time, I asked them what they're interested in talking about. They want to know about food, and we want to know about why can't I eat French fries 4 times a day or 5 times, just whenever I just love French fries. Well, I tell them because French fries is carbs, and it runs your blood glucose up, and it's not good. Your body can't break that down like it should, especially if you're impaired with insulin. Other than that, it's just walking, taking the
Well,
first step.
I know that there's like a lot of websites out there that talk about diabetic education. Some websites, particularly I think the National Diabetes, they say that you can have certain potatoes or you can have things. It's just balancing your food, having a balanced meal. I think for me, particularly because I am diabetic, is that I try to balance my bread intake. I try to balance my water intake and things of that nature so that even if I'm taking my medication, I don't have to take as much because I'm able to make sure that my numbers are in line. And so, can you speak on what is really actual normal glucose levels?
Yeah, actually, yes. The American Diabetes Association has set up 3 different levels. Basically, you have pre-diabetes. Well, 4. You have pre-diabetes. You have gestational diabetes. You have type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. The numbers are for pre-diabetic are anywhere from 70 to 99. Normal numbers for diabetes is from 100 to 120 or greater, because it depends on your physician and how aggressive they want to be. And then type 2 would be anything above 120, and that's basically going with your insulin not being produced at all from your pancreas for type 1, and small amount of insulin for type 2.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about some of the dangers in terms of, what really happens, and particularly for the minority community, because I don't think people really understand the impact on the Black community in terms of diabetes for men and women. In your experience, what has been the impact in terms of loss of life for men and women with diabetes?
In my experience, diabetes can lead to stroke because it causes hypertension. It could lead to having a kidney removed, and it also can lead to amputations and also blindness. Those are the major, and death is the most severe. But whatever I've seen, a lot of people having blindness and amputations, and more of kidney dialysis problems because of uncontrolled diabetes. What we really try to do is try to keep their numbers, and well, your total number is your A1C number. That's the most important number because it tells you the amount of blood glucose from over a 6-month period of time if it's outside of the earlier numbers that I spoke of. Some physicians like to be really controlled, and they want the patient's daily readings or readings after they finish eating to be in the range of 110 to 115, or they want to go more strict to make it 112 to 100. Anything higher than those, they may have a more stringent drug regimen for the patient.
Yeah, definitely have to really stay on your numbers. One of the things I found that was very helpful is to have like a little book that you can write down your numbers as you check them. Some people check their glucose levels 3 times a day, some people more than that. But it's always good that if you are diabetic and you're not really good at controlling your numbers, one of the first things I would suggest just to start to get some type of regimen is to get a book and actually write down when you eat your food, what you've had, and then you take your levels and write it down. And then you can go back and see how your levels fluctuate. And then you can kind of develop a eating pattern so that you know what foods trigger what. And I found that to be extremely helpful in managing my diabetes.
That is exactly what I do. That's exactly what I do. I like to have patients give me their fasting number first, and at that time, we will develop a plan. I get the type of foods that they like to eat, and help them modernize, give it in portions. I help them eat what they love in smaller portions, and also continue to exercise. Walking is again the most important thing because it's something that almost anybody can do. Yes, there are some people who have problems where they can't walk, but there's water aerobics that you can use to help increase the heart rate, to get the muscles moving, to help burn up that glucose that's being in their body. And that's what I do exactly. I have everybody give me their fasting numbers. I don't like to see the numbers go higher than 10 points from whatever the fasting number is. For example, somebody wakes up, they take they prick their finger, do their reading, and it's 100. And I say, okay, good. That's a very good number. What I would like, what you want to eat from there. They can give me their breakfast food. They have eggs, toast, grits. That's fine, but you don't want to have a lot of grits. You can have a smaller portion of grits, and you can have a slice of toast. Top it off with some water, preferably. You can get orange juice, apple juice, whatever type of juice you want, but you just don't want a full 16 ounces of it. You probably drink maybe 8 ounces or even 4 ounces of it, and be fine. And then test your readings 2 hours later. At that time, you should have only jumped up to 110 if you started at 100. If you jumped up 110, you maintain the medication level that you're taking. You go from there, and you continue going. At the next snack, probably about almost an hour after you did that reading, then you can go ahead and eat whatever you want, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what? Even though you are monitoring your eating habits, there's other things you can do too that I felt that was very helpful for me. So I would actually have Cheerios in the morning with no milk and some fruit. And that actually helped me maintain my numbers and it gives me energy. And then I'm not as hungry, I'm not as thirsty. And I do that maybe 4 or 5 times out of the week. And then I can treat myself to like a piece of cake maybe or twice a month, a piece of cake or something like that. Or I can have a slice of pizza, but at least I'm getting in my fruits and my vegetables. And I think that that's key. So I want to turn the conversation now, Russell, to people who are in the workforce in terms of diabetes, because one of the things that I know that is a huge impact for those folks that have diabetes is memory. And I know that diabetes affects your memory, it causes you to forget. And I wanted to hear your perspective and your experience on that aspect of people who are losing their memory when they're diabetic.
Well, when people tend to lose their memory because of uncontrolled blood glucose, it has them more worried about did I take the medication or not? That's why you want to partner up with somebody to help you stay on track. Um, Talk to your neighbor, your mom, your dad, sister, brother, even your pharmacist. They will help you. They will help you um, stay on track. I mean, it's when people uh, tend to lose their memory. It could be a number of things, not only diabetes. Alzheimer's or dementia could start to set in. It's a fine line that you have to know the difference, but most likely uncontrolled numbers will be from diabetes. Other indications cause could come from dementia or Alzheimer's, something like that.
Wow. Well, I wanted to throw that question out there because I think from my own experience, because I can only speak from my own experience, when I did not know that I was diabetic, okay, I was going through college and I was just finishing up my dual degree. And there were conversations where people said that I have said something, did something, or we done something together. And I literally had no recollection of ever doing it or ever saying it. Or I will forget what I'm actually doing. So I might be working on something and then I will completely forget what I'm working on and I'll totally just go off to do something else, not realizing that I was in the middle of doing something. And over time, I noticed that I was forgetting things, or I've had promised something, or I've said something, and cannot remember what I did just a few minutes. And so between that and all the other symptoms, that's when I immediately went to the doctor and found out that I was diabetic. So to speaking to the people who may be listening to this, if you are having those kind of conversations where people are just constantly telling you that you said or did something and you don't remember, you definitely want to make sure that you are going to the doctor and checking that out, because as a small business owner, there's a lot of things that you have to track to run your business, and you really just cannot afford to forget what you're working on. And it's really important that you really take diabetes seriously. And this is just for everybody in general, because it's a very serious disease. It affects so many people in so many ways, and people have lost their life, as Russell said, and have the potential to lose their life if it's not controlled. So, Russell, let me ask you another question.
Hmm.
Outside of doing the pharmaceutical and running that business, are you working on any other initiatives?
Other initiatives, just walking, just partner up with the American Diabetes Association. Also working through the church organization and helping people with their brown bag questions about their medications. The brown bag is basically they bring all their medicines to me. I go through it and help them understand it. That's it. No other real initiatives besides making sure that people are staying active, helping in the church where people are afraid or don't want to bring all their medicines to somebody else. They know me there, and I go over it with them then.
Okay. So, as far as your organization, do you want to talk about some of the programs that you offer or the services that you offer that may be useful for anyone that may be listening to this podcast?
Well, right now I am partnered up with a dietitian, and also, and I have physical fitness people who I recommend, um, and they get with my patients to help develop a physical activity program that works with them. And same thing with the dietitian. What she does, she gets with you, helps you develop the food that you like and in the portion sizes that you need, so you can help control your diabetes. Her name is Baenia Jackson. She's actually out of Orlando, Florida, and I use Two Fitness. I use True Fit or LA Fit, True FL Fit. Will Thomas and Michael Myers out there in LA with his ultimate boot camp for the physical fitness.
Okay, fantastic. And so this is a networking event and people are listening and participating. What do you need for Myers to thrive?
Well, what do I need? What do I need? I would like for people to just uh, come with questions. I would like people to um, help. I would like people to go to the website, look at the page. If you feel comfortable enough to go ahead and give me your information, I will formulate an action plan for you to control your numbers, so you can move on to a better quality of life.
Absolutely. And so I want to remind everybody that diabetes, while this is one of the most popular topics, that it is a serious health condition, particularly for the African American community. And if you know someone who is diabetic and is not controlling his or her number, please work with them, support them, get them help, be that support system for them to do that because we want to save lives. And that's why we're doing this podcast. And also, I want to remind everybody to please check out all of the other podcast pages and check out the bios. Feel free to reach out to all the participants because they are here to answer your questions and to work with you. And with that, Russ, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast today and sharing your knowledge with us about diabetes education.
Well, thank you very much for having me. My first time. Looking forward to doing more.
All right.